So I've seriously been thinking about the DLC leak for Forza Motorsport 7, and that bundle of cars that were leaked leaned very much towards the next Horizon game being set in the UK. Now I'm going to read them out just to kind of give you an idea. You've probably seen this already and you probably already know, but I'm going to give you the list so you know you kind of have an idea. So we've got the TVR Carrera Speed 12, the Morgan Aero Supersports, the Bentley 8 litre Ascari KZ1R, Austin Healey 3000, the Austin Healey Sprite, the MG MGB GT, the Eagle Speedster, the Morris Minor, the Austin FX4 Taxi, which is basically a black cab, the Ford Fiesta G RC, which is a rally car, the Ford Escort XR3, which is an old rally car, the Peel P50, Ford Mustang GT, a weaponized 007 Aston Martin DB5, and the McLaren Senna. Now, I don't know the technicalities of all of this. I'm not sure if these files are actually going to be a DLC pack in this Forza Motorsport 7, because there are quite a lot of cars and the DLC packs aren't that big, and they're all very interesting cars. They're very headliner cars. So I don't know, maybe they will be in a DLC pack. I'm not entirely sure. But what I can say is that the next Horizon game is most probably going to be in the UK, because all of these cars point in that direction. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I wasn't happy initially. I don't really like the idea of it still, because I live here and it's not that interesting. Now, maybe I'm saying that because I've lived here my entire life and I'm used to the way this place looks. Maybe it's not the same for someone who doesn't live in the UK, which it's not going to be. But recently, today specifically, I've been thinking to myself, well, let's try and think about this in a positive light. Let's try and think about it in a positive aspect and how it can be a good thing. So before I start, I want to say, let's not write the UK off of racing or car heritage, please, because we have quite a lot. We've got McLaren, Bentley, Rolls-Royce, old minis, things like Radical, things like TVR. There are a lot of things that make this place eligible for a car game. I just don't know if an open world car game would be the perfect thing. We've also got quite a lot of tracks here, like Silverstone and whatever. There are a lot, I'm not going to list them all. So I feel like there is a place for racing here, but an open world racing game where, you know, there's a lot more than just racing. There's a lot more to think about. I don't know. So let's talk about the UK and kind of the geography of the UK, excluding Ireland. So we've got Scotland, England and Wales, right? England is very hilly, and so is Wales, and so is Scotland. It's a very hilly place, the UK. There are a lot of hills and there's a lot of green. The city areas, depending on where we're talking about here, London is massive. London is a very big city, and then the next I think is Birmingham, and then so on and so on. But to me, they're quite uninteresting. They're quite grey and very bland. But I guess Forza can change that. I guess Turn 10 and Playground can alter it so it is interesting. The roads are quite tight and narrow, and the windy country roads will be interesting to race on. But think about the tight roads and the tight motorways. They're not as big as the roads in the US. So a lot of cars on a road that is quite small in a racing game is going to be carnage. Now, I know this can be done because if we think about Forza Horizon 2, the roads were quite thin on that game. They weren't that big, and they're not that big in real life anyway. And the roads there are quite comparable to the roads here. We have a lot of back roads and B roads that are very tight and small, and they're quite fun. So I imagine that can be done if it's done right. You know, we've got a lot of coastal roads too, and the city area is the only thing that worries me because it's so tight, very tight, and I don't know how that's going to work with 12 plus people driving on a circuit in such a tight environment. Now, this is a video game, it's not real. So what they can do is they can alter it to make it work. I've just been telling myself this over and over again. Do not think about this realistically. It's a racing game, it's a video game. It's not real. things can be changed so it does work and so it does fit. So that's all I've been telling myself. Now let's segue from that brief my brief thoughts on that game being in the UK, because everything else is probably going to stay the same as it was in the last game. Now this is where my problem arises with Forza Horizon specifically. It's been the same for quite a while now. I think since it went to next gen, so from Horizon 2 to Horizon 3 to now Horizon 4, not much is changing from every game. Not much is being added, and I feel like that's probably the main issue. I feel like it can be done in the UK. I would love to see it in Japan, but that video has kind of gone now because everyone's made a video on Forza being in Japan, and my opinions are like everyone else's. I'd love to see that. That would be so cool, an underground gritty feel. Of course I want that. But I guess that's not what Playground want to build their game on. They don't want to base their game around underground street racing. They want to keep it quite friendly to racing culture and legal racing culture, I guess. And I have nothing wrong with that. And that's a cool idea because it can be done well. Forza Horizon 1 was done very well. Forza Horizon 2 was done well. Forza Horizon 3 was done well. It was just very similar to 2, and kind of took off a lot of the wow factor that the game actually had lying underneath the fact that it was very similar to the last. And I feel like it can be done again, but they're gonna have to add some things, like maybe add a racetrack or two to the map, maybe add some ground elevation so it's not just flat everywhere. Give us some hill climbs. I can't stress this enough. If you're gonna put your racing game in the UK and you have no hills, I'm gonna be confused. This place is hilly as shit. There are a few mountains in Scotland, and I think there are a few very high hills, okay, that are similar to mountains in this country. So if you add no mountains, I'm going to be very baffled. It's not a flat place. So mountains and ground elevation are two things that I really want to see. Give me some different terrain and different environments. It can be done. You've got, you know, the coastal region of the UK, you've got the very foresty regions, you've got the hilly regions, you've got, you know, airports. There are beaches scattered around the UK too. There are places for this game to be set. You know, you've got cities and stuff. There are places that this game can be set. I've just been thinking about it in the bad light because I live here. It's not that interesting to me. I would love to see it in a place that's different and that has a bit more atmosphere, in my opinion. I guess what I'm saying, because I'm going to start rambling now, I guess what I'm saying is I want Forza to succeed. I want Horizon to be a good game. I want 4 to be a good game. I don't want it to be bad. I don't want it to be shit, because the more shit racing games we have, the less racing games we have, and the main people that affects is us, the player. So I want this to be good, and I have hope that it's going to be good, but I'm worried that it's going to just take the same route that Forza Horizon 3 did, have a really beautiful E3 trailer, have some really interesting gameplay and some features that haven't been added, and then when they deliver in the final result, it's just a tiny bit lackluster. Horizon 3 got really good reviews, and I understand why. It's a very palatable game, it's easy to jump into, the racing's solid, there's a huge car list, it looks pretty, but if you think about it as a actual fan of the series and you've been playing it for years and you're going to pour in hundreds of hours into that game, you're going to start picking up issues. You're going to start seeing the things that the game's lacking. You're going to see what the past game had, and this game doesn't. They affect your gaming experience. I'm thinking about this as a hardcore player, someone that's going to play the game a lot, not someone that's just going to jump in the game and not touch it for a week. I want to be able to pour hours into this, but if you're not going to give me things to put my time into, I'm not going to be able to put hours into it. That's my thing with Forza at the moment. That's kind of the way I see it, and that's how I feel about it being in the UK. And I hope this is being quite an unbiased video. I don't want to seem like I'm being on the negative side or the positive side. I just want to. I'm looking at both sides right now and looking at both situations. But I'm going to stop rambling now. I've had my rant. I've had my talk. I want to know what everyone else thinks. So the comment section is there. Use it. Tell me what you think. and we will discuss it in the comments. Other than that, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.